I know you say you get used to it. I know you say it's good learning experiences and all that, but is there any point where this deja vu just sort of gets to you that it keeps happening over and over again, or the fact is you're finding ways where it really counters that?
Look, some nights are different, but we're facing a team that really defends well. They're a possession-oriented team, very similar to us. So you're not thinking that this is going to be a blowout type game. This is going to be a game you're going to have to compete for the full 48, if not longer, and you're going to have to do some things well. So I think, our group is smart enough to understand that and the challenge, and we're just into the grind. I mean, there were a lot of different skirmishes going back and forth the entire game. When it gets to the last 3 or 4 minutes and it's a possession game, because of the experiences, at least we understand what our packages are, what we want to do from an execution standpoint. Guys feel at least comfortable enough to be able to execute under that kind of context and pressure. And then, that helps, but that doesn't guarantee anything, But I enjoyed the way we competed and also, defended going down the stretch. There were a lot of key stops. Bam had a deflection. Jimmy had just a ridiculous steal that I have to go look on the film. I think he just totally baited that steal. It was incredibly savvy on his part, just from a next play speed standpoint. But there were a lot of key defensive stops going down the stretch in the fourth quarter. You don't see a lot of games like this. There is a beauty in this, for the aficionados when it's highly competitive and it's not necessarily 140 to 137. There's a beauty in the competition.
What Caleb did tonight against, obviously, a big front court. Just thoughts on what he gave you on both ends.
Yeah, he was so active defensively. Look, we all know, how explosive Donovan Mitchell is, and Garland just continues to grow. He has so much confidence and skill level. But Mitchell is he's a problem. He's so shifty, he's strong. Caleb was really disciplined in our man and zone, and even that doesn't guarantee anything. Like, he can still go for 40 or 50 even when you're doing all the right things. But his activity level just kind of inspires the group, and that's the most important thing. When Caleb is making plays defensively, it ignites other guys. I think we saw that tonight, and then the ball tends to find energy. It tends to find karma. It tends to find defensive efforts, and he made some big shots tonight.
Usually Jimmy sort of paced himself to a degree, but it was clear he was needed early, and he sort of kept you afloat early. Is that just Jimmy getting a read on the game? Then when you got behind
sure.
a little bit early, he sort of took his moment?
For sure. We were disjointed at the beginning of the game, but you have to credit Cleveland. They do that to a lot of teams. They're a very good defensive team, so you have to do things with a motor. You have to do it with precision. You have to make quick decisions, otherwise they can bottle you up pretty quickly. And we were bottled up. We were a little bit random, just in terms of not getting the ball where we needed to do with enough kind of movement. I think Jimmy's sensed that, and he just went to work, at least just to keep it within striking distance. And then when we brought in the second unit in the second quarter, I thought they played really well.
And then Bam has been making the floater a lot this season, and you would think against Jared Allen he would do that, but he was playing with force, including that one dunk in the second quarter. He went right at him. Was that sort of a statement by Bam that he can do that also against size and the aggression he played with?
Yeah, you can control or impose the will on the game, defensively, or you can do it with your assertiveness and aggressiveness offensively, and that's what Jimmy does so well. Particularly when you're on the road, you can quiet, buildings if you're attacking, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line, and Bam just continues to get better, with that kind of assertiveness, and tonight we needed that, on the road is to have some emphatic plays at the rim.
I know it's hard in transition because there's a risk, and I always ask you these in 3-point games. The other team doesn't have a timeout. Was there any message to possibly foul? Do you have a team precept?
No.
Especially with the look they got at the end.
No, and we talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a philosophical thing that would be a much deeper conversation.
Right.
But I get it. I see it, and I'll just leave it at that.
It's a more general question and kind of relating to tonight, but the standings all around the league, how everything's bunched up. You got teams, all that are in it, like except for 5 right now. Do you have kind of maybe a reason that it might be like that this year as opposed to previous years? Just it seems like the competition's just been up on a whole nother level as far as teams go.
I think it's been happening now for 3 years, 2 years since the play-in was put in. I think that's the biggest driver in this. You just have far less teams tanking. Am I allowed to say that word? Come on, this happens in this league. But now you have a bunch of teams that probably weren't necessarily thinking that they would have in either conference that they would have a chance of being in the play-in, and they're at this point. You might as well go for it. The experience you get, it's just driving the competition level league-wide, and this is the way it should be. We had a devastating loss the other night at Charlotte, and then, to keep it in perspective, we wake up the next morning and, even with only being +5, we had the 9th best record in the league. That's a head scratcher to me. Usually you had the top teams, maybe a handful of middle teams, and the rest were tanking. That's not the case anymore, and I think it's good.
I think first 10 fourth quarter possessions didn't end in points, and then you got the big floater from Tyler, then the 4-point play. How big was that with his explosiveness? Even on nights he's not shooting great, he has those moments.
Yeah, Tyler was really important for us. It wasn't a big scoring night, but he hit those 2 big threes, in the fourth quarter. And his pick and roll play, you just have to account for that. And so even when it's not like a big scoring output, what is the effect on their defense, and having to account for him, and in particular that 2-man action between him and Bam. You have to do something with that, and that oftentimes can leave other guys open. And that was Caleb, but a handful of times.
You guys are so intentional about building winning habits and well versed in good culture. What sort of habits and culture do you see Cleveland building over there?
Yeah, they're doing it. You got to respect what they're doing. What they have is alignment, between the coaching staff and the front office, ownership. That's a hard thing to do in this league. But I've known JB for a long time. You just know that he's a good coach. He's going to be driving the right things that you want for your program, but you need also to have a front office that's going to get in the trench, with you, and they certainly have that right now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.